Hello everyone. I'm Milan Mandanna, working as a thematic lead for emergency response and disaster risk reduction at Indo-Global Social Service Society. It's indeed a great pleasure to share my experience working in the development sector for the past 16 years. To start with, I'm a proud alumni of School of Social Work, Roshni Nilaya. I'm grateful to my college for whatever that I am today, and the little that I could contribute in the nation building process, I owe it to my college. I started my journey as a humanitarian worker in 2005, that is post tsunami in Tamil Nadu, and at least in my circle has been considered as non-traditional with not so stationed job. I say when I look back, I jokingly say I lived my life in suitcase or on wheels. That's the extent of travel one had to do being a humanitarian worker. Since this video is largely being shared with the students, I would want to say when I finished my MSW and I was looking for a job, I had to move out of my comfort zone. Probably being a Roshnite, that also gave me the courage, confidence in taking decision and moving out of my comfort. I went to Tamil Nadu. Not knowing the language, culture, the local context, and the large-scale crisis. So I was part of the tsunami rehabilitation team, and I'm glad that has, to a larger extent, has influenced me, both my career as well as my personal life. From then on, I've been part of emergency response across the length and breadth of the country, right from Kashmir to Kerala to Northeast to the West. So 5 years I worked with Caritas India extensively on disaster, and then I joined Bosco, and for 2.5 years I worked with them on foster care. The significant contribution that I see is I was part of the core committee to draft the foster care guidelines for state of Karnataka. So then again I went back to disaster when the Kashmir floods happened in 2014. So I rejoined Caritas India and I was part of the emergency response team for Kashmir floods and the Odisha cyclone. And then in 2015 joined IGSSS, that's the organization that I'm currently associated with, and I work here as a thematic lead. So if I have to put in a nutshell, my 15-16 years of work in a humanitarian sector, what work largely is involved is leading and managing the emergency response and disaster risk reduction thematic, and I work on the full program cycle. Let's say whenever there is an emergency, we have a SOP which says that you need to be there in the next 48 or 72 hours unless you have a team on ground. So my work starts from there, doing the damage assessment, then working on the proposal, fundraising, donor management, stakeholder meeting, networking with government departments and then the other like-minded civil society organizations, and also coordinate and build relationship with concerned departments, strategic visioning and innovation within the organization. So largely the work in a nutshell is what I've shared now. Being a humanitarian worker means bringing life-saving assistance to disaster-affected people as quickly as possible, as safely as possible, and most importantly, respond in the right way at the right time with the right kind of a help. As a humanitarian worker, there's always a pride and honor. It's almost like 17 years, and I can say that I still have the same energy that I had when I started my career way back in 2005. So when I say this is something which I love, passion I have towards my work, but it also comes with a lot of burnout and risk. Life of a humanitarian worker looks great from outside. There are a lot of people who do romanticize this work because you get to travel across to offbeat places to meet different people, culture. But the burnout are very high. You get isolated when you are deployed in unfamiliar places. You are for months together away from your family and friends. So it could be challenging because life on ground could be risky. It could be wading through the flood water, interior places with absolutely no connectivity for days, uh, 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 and completely unknown places and unfamiliar environment. Sometimes when you're deployed, you're also put in a place where there are insurgent groups, so it could be life threatening as well. It instances like this and at times is tiresome and takes toll on your physical and mental health, but it all seems worth when you see the smile on the face of the people at the last mile. It's rewarding to help people get back on their feet, to rebuild their homes, their lives, their livelihoods after a crisis. If I have to share, if two takeaways or learning from the last 16 years, I would say two important aspects. One is inclusion, the other one is accountability. So there are many other things, but for me, these two are very, very important. Inclusion, because uh, sometimes there are certain communities, individuals who are excluded structurally because of their caste, religion, gender, disability, being a woman-headed households, many factors like this. So it is important that when you say you are responding, keep in mind that leave no one behind, and try and see how do you include these groups. That's one thing. The second one is accountability. See, within the organization, the upward accountability is by default there. You're accountable to your donor, you're accountable to your board, your head of the organization, your supervisor. So that is by default there. But what is important is being, the downward accountability, being accountable to the community that we are working with. Because you are raising funds in the name of the community, showing their sufferings. So it is important that we are accountable to them, tell them where are we getting the money from, how much did we raise, how did we spend that money, is it on the program, on the administration, on the logistics. So it is very important that we are transparent and we are credible. People, you need to gain the trust of the community, and it is your right to know as well. It is, let's say, when you are responding, when you're doing some relief, let's not assume it as some charity work. It is the right of the individual to receive the aid and receive it with dignity. So keep, this is very important when you're working in a disaster management. And when I say emergency response, it does not limit only to the 2-3 months of relief. It also investing on a long-term development in reducing the risk of future disasters. To conclude, with the changing times and with the climate change we are witnessing, there will be more and more disaster. The frequency, the intensity is going to be more. Conflicts, this will be the everyday reality, and impacting the most marginalized group. So, young friends, we have a collective responsibility towards each other and the planet, so to prevent and overcome some of the greatest challenges of our time. So I know there are a lot of things to share, and 7-8 minutes is too short to share your, put together your experience. So I'm not sure if I could do justice to that. But in the given time, this is all I could share, and I hope in the coming days I could get to interact with you. So for now, to conclude, thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my experience, and I've enjoyed it. And thank you and best wishes.